Well, let's do this. Now that we've talked about some of the characteristics, let's talk about the functions of a marketing manager. Maybe let's dig into overall functions that a marketing manager should be doing generally in their role. And then maybe we can get into some things that they should be doing daily or weekly. So first, can you give us just some ideas of the primary roles of a marketing manager?
Absolutely. So from a macro standpoint, the marketing manager is going to be the person who is responsible for driving marketing efforts. As we kind of mentioned before, you're going to want that driver, the doer. And so that's their key role overall, is to make sure that they are driving marketing efforts. Now, there are different components of this, but something that's really important to keep in mind when you're driving those marketing efforts is the fact that that person would be responsible for communicating with the different departments within your team, also communicating with outside vendors. So for instance, if you have an SEO team, if you have a Google Ads company that you're working with, they need to be responsible for spearheading the communication with those vendors to make sure that the company's vision is properly communicated to those companies and that those third parties are held accountable to whatever activity that they are engaging in. So those regular meetings, that continual communication, holding them accountable is super important. And then the third part of that would be the internal accountability. So typically a company will start out with a marketing manager and they are sort of their own department. But as the company grows over time, what we tend to see is that the marketing manager may get an assistant. The marketing manager may have a videographer or a social media manager that helps them with the different marketing roles as that department tends to grow over time. And as it does grow over time, it's imperative that the marketing manager holds those specific team members accountable and also leads them, again, towards the vision of the company so that we're all kind of rowing in the same direction.
That's a great point. And one of the things I just heard you say that I want to emphasize is that person is going to help hold people accountable toward the vision of the company, which means if your marketing manager is not clear on the vision of the company, then there's an issue. The likelihood of them being able to hold people accountable to anything is going to be extremely low unless they have that clear vision. So if you're an owner and you're listening to this, please stop right now or right after this episode is over. We'd love for you to listen to the end because we'll give you some more good nuggets in here. But sit down and write down a vision. If you have it in your head, awesome, but that's not enough. You need it actually written down. And then the next step is sharing it with your team, especially that marketing manager, so they can be successful. They can hold other people accountable. They can make sure that your messaging and your efforts are all aligned with that vision. That's massive. That's going to be a huge piece. And I know that sometimes that seems like extra work that's not necessary, but let me tell you this, if you don't have a vision, your marketing efforts and dollars will likely be wasted in many different areas. I've seen it time and time again. So if you want to reduce that waste and be really intentional with your efforts, and again, help that marketing manager really drive revenue, please make sure that you've got that done. That's awesome. All right, let's get into some more of the functions of a marketing manager. Sydney, what else are they doing, from week to week?
The marketing manager position is a very diverse position. So there are going to be many responsibilities of this person once we get into like the more detailed responsibilities. So first and foremost, I would say that this person needs to be responsible for running marketing meetings. And if you are not having marketing meetings with your marketing manager, or you are not discussing marketing at all in your existing meetings, then this needs to be step one. Whether you have a marketing manager or you don't have a marketing manager, you need to have marketing meetings where you discuss the initiatives that are being taken care of, what your goals are, where you're heading, the activities being done, all of that. So the marketing manager ultimately needs to be driving those meetings. At Contractor Dynamics, we have those meetings weekly. We encourage all of our clients to have those meetings weekly as well. And the owner should be involved in those meetings. Again, to make sure that there is congruency in what's happening with the vision of the company and the marketing and the messaging that's going out. So the owner should be involved in those meetings. Now, like I said before, as the company grows, you're going to have multiple people involved in those marketing meetings, like the marketing manager, the videographer, a social media manager. But when you're first starting, it may just be the marketing manager and the owner, and that is perfectly fine as long as you are continuing to have those meetings in order to ensure that there's accountability, that you're on the same page. That is just absolutely important. If you're an owner listening to this and you have a marketing manager and you're not having these meetings, please, please, please help your marketing manager by making sure that you have weekly marketing meetings with them so that they can lean on you as a resource as they're driving these marketing efforts.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, some of this may seem really simple, you guys. Have a vision, have a meeting. However, the reality is that I meet with people every single week who say, well, we don't have a set meeting, but we talk all the time. There is a massive difference between talk all the time and sit down and have an intentional, focused meeting with an agenda with specific items that you're going through, problems that you're solving, accountability action steps that you're setting. That's a massive difference. So please make sure that you're having these meetings. It's very common for us to hear frustrated owners who are also not meeting with their marketing managers. So don't make that mistake.
Yeah, and vice versa. We hear frustrations from marketing managers all the time who say that they see the owners and the owner, goes to sales meetings and whatnot, but doesn't prioritize marketing meetings. So you're doing a disservice to your marketing manager by not having those meetings with them. So another thing I would just say is that if you are a marketing manager and you are not having those meetings with your owner, be the doer, be the driver, and tell the owner that you need that standing time every single week to make sure that you are on the same page. Let them know, this is my job. Just be quite frank with them. Let them know this is what you need to be successful in your position. And most of the time, they'll make time for you. But hold them accountable to that. And if you are an owner and you are listening to this and you don't have those marketing meetings, then set up a recurring meeting with your marketing manager so that we can accomplish all of the things that we just talked about.
What would you say are a couple of the other functions? Obviously, we could get into 50 different things or even more that a marketing manager can be doing, every single week and month. There's so many different, activities that you can be doing depending on your stage of growth. But what are a couple more for a company who has a full-time marketing manager? What are a few of those other things that marketing manager should be doing?
Yeah, so the next thing I would say that's absolutely crucial with the marketing role is that you are tracking your numbers and your data regularly. So this should be a component of the marketing meetings that we just talked about, but setting time aside to track all of those numbers is wildly important. So everything ranging from social media engagement statistics to lead statistics to brand awareness statistics. We do hear a lot of owners say things like, how do we increase leads? How do we increase leads? And that is a very important component of the business. However, that is one sector of data that we should be tracking when there are multiple sectors of data that should be tracked on a weekly basis. In addition to that, there's also data points that you should be tracking monthly or quarterly, just to kind of get a more zoomed out perspective of that data as well. So that is a super crucial part of the marketing manager role, is tracking that data on a regular basis and communicating it with the owner, the marketing team, the team members that need to know that pertinent information.
That's huge. I will say that some of those numbers, for example, let's say that you all are running Facebook and Instagram ads. The great news is the marketing manager can log into the Meta Business Suite. They can look at those numbers themselves. However, there is a component of data, for example, that's not a number. So, information back from the sales team on a big part of the tracking that you're going to have to do is not just going to be a number that you're going to find, in your Google Suite or wherever. A big part of what that marketing person is going to need is going to be information and feedback from other members of the team, like how those appointments are going from the sales team, or how many of those leads we're actually setting from your appointment setter or your admin. So it's important to make sure that your information is updated. So salespeople, update the CRM, leave your notes in the CRM. Owners, sales managers, help the team understand the why behind that information. That way you can support your marketing manager. Otherwise, your marketing manager is going to be just constantly going out to the team and saying, please help me with this, please help me with this. If you can get everyone in the habit of that consistent and timely feedback, everyone is going to have more success. Because when the marketing manager has that new information, they're going to adjust your marketing, whether that's budget or your targeting or your messaging, to get better and better results from your marketing. So that's going to be huge. A massive function of the marketing manager, and then a massive function of the rest of the team to be able to support them as well. Sydney, let's get into a couple other functions of the marketing manager before we dig into some more ways that the rest of the team can really help them win? What are a couple of the other functions that you would think are really important?
Yeah. So again, this relates back to the driver characteristic. This person is responsible for coming up with a marketing plan. Now, that doesn't mean they do it completely by themselves without any input from, outside resources or from the owner or other team members, but they are responsible for coming up with the plan and determining the priorities based on what is going on within the company. So for instance, marketing is such a vast ocean of opportunities that you can implement. I mean, I even think about it from contractor dynamics. And we work with marketing managers at roofing companies all the time who tell us like, I have all of these ideas, and that is marvelous. But as the marketing manager, you are responsible for not only coming up with ideas and gathering the ideas, but also determining what is the most important and what needs to be implemented first and foremost in order to make the most immediate traction within the company. So I would just say that's something that's really important, is coming up with the plan and then holding whatever team members are involved with the plan accountable to see its completion.
That's huge. Creating that marketing plan, actually having a plan and not just sort of going along with things. When should we create a marketing plan, Sydney?
Multiple times. So I would say yearly, you need to make a marketing plan for the year, like your marketing goals for the year, what's going to be implemented. And then we also recommend making a marketing plan quarterly so that you know where your attention is going to lie quarter over quarter. So when you're making your annual plan, you can divide it out into quarters. And if you're looking at your annual plan and you see like 50 different milestones that you want to put in place and you start breaking it down by quarter and you're like, there's no way we're getting all this done, then that tells you that you kind of put too much on your plate. So that's a good indication that you're going to need to kind of limit some of those objectives to make sure that you see them to completion. In addition to that, I would say that you should be creating that marketing plan annually and then checking up on it, working on those different quarterly milestones on a quarterly basis. However, there should be weekly check-ins on those quarterly milestones to make sure that we are making progress on those. Or if we face hurdles with those, discuss them, come up with solutions as we need to in order to make sure that we follow through with all of those.
That constant analyzing and adjusting as needed, that's just huge, a massive part of marketing.